Let's discuss what really matters.
Do you want to talk about money?
We have already discussed the environmental issue and the wage of your workers. Now let's talk how you are going to help me with the tax issue.
I have already helped you a lot. The most I can do is to reduce 2% on taxes for your company.
You can make it better.
I don't confirm anything, but I think it could be a possibility.
Do I count on you? Because I don't want workers making a big deal about this and damage my business image.
Don't worry. As long as you assure me you're still in my country, everything's cool.
Today, based on this conversation, we will have analysis from different countries gathered to discuss the effects these negotiations have had on Bangladesh and its society. We give way to the first guest. So, why did the MNC enter to the country?
We know Inditex chose Bangladesh and works with 83 suppliers from the Asian country, which means 92 factories and more than 346,000 workers. So Inditex entered to Bangladesh because of the facility they have taken advantage of workers. It's important to know that Bangladesh is a basic pillar for the empire of Amancio Ortega and the textile industry. Manufacturing in this country not only allows it more room for maneuver when it comes to adjusting production to sales, but also the cost of labor performed by workers in Bangladesh is very low. Also, Inditex takes advantage of the poorest families where their salaries are a misery and they are exploited. Inditex increased its capital at the cost of labor and the extreme poverty of proletariat. Workers in this country have not been to school. They are not aware of their rights. Workers who have demanded an increase in their salary have been fired, injured, and arrested.
Well, let's go with the next question. Why did the country's government accept?
To answer this question, it's necessary to observe the history that Bangladesh has had. To begin with, this country had its liberation in 1971, and the new country was very poor and unstable and suffered from nationwide famine. This forced the country to search new ways of development, reducing its taxes and regulations to call for foreign investment, and also the high population with endless cheap labor was very attractive for different enterprises. This is when textile industry stepped in 1980, when the exports in the industry were 31.5 million and more than 90% of the population was working in this history. This is why the country's government accepted this national, because from the past experiences they had, they witnessed that the industry has provided the country with the capital need to reduce poverty rates and employing millions of rural children, women, and young men. Another factor is that this country is very corrupt, and the strong capital inflow that this industry produces draws the attention of the leaders who are the most benefit. This generates that in the state there is no international control, since to defend their interests they do not allow to enter other organizations.
How does the MNC interact with the government?
Can be perceived as friendly. First, because of the mutual dependence. The government may use of soft law to enforce Inditex with the minimum obligations, which benefits the government since many of the members own textile factories. And corporation gets the best prices in the market due to the cheap labor. So an excessive number of regulations doesn't benefit them. Secondly, there has been a cooperation on both sides to improve their international image through ambiguous agreements such as the signal after the Rana Plaza collapse. Despite this, after 7 years, it has relatively improved the situation but haven't been fully implemented. And that's why the Bangladesh government must prioritize respect for the rights of Bangladesh workers and their protection against unsafe conditions over economic growth, particularly amid a growing global concern among consumers about the conditions under which their clothing is made. This implies a change in the good relationship between Intex and the government.
Another question. Were the payoff tax incentive or benefit given?
Definitely there were. First, we have tax holidays that in Bangladesh are allowed, and many of these incentives are offered in different industrial sectors. So these are a temporary reduction or elimination of taxes that mainly try to attract foreign investment. So in the country, tax holiday facilities will be available for 5, 7, and maximum 10 years, depending on the location of the industrial enterprise. And these tax holidays are allowed for industrial undertakings and physical infrastructure facilities established between 2019 and 2024. The tax holidays for developed areas that we can see that the duration is for 5 years, and each year it's decreased. And we have for undeveloped areas, and the last one is for physical infrastructure. That some example of these activities are deep sea ports or waste treatment plants. So apart from these, there are 4 more areas of taxes, and also the government tried to extend tax holidays facilities to 7 new sectors. So definitely tax holidays attract multinationals.
The government had limited success reducing the time required to establish a company. In February 2018, the Bangladesh Parliament passed the One-Stop Service Bill in 2018, which aims to streamline business and investment registration processes. Also, the company registration process now takes around 15 works a day to complete. The process to open a branch or a liaison office is approximately 1 month. The process for a trade license, tax registration, and VAT registration requires 7 days, 2 days, and 3 weeks, respectively.
Then we got foreign investment. The government of Bangladesh actively seeks foreign investment. It offers a range of investment incentives under its industrial policy and export-oriented growth strategy, with few formal distinctions between foreign and domestic private investors, including lower taxes, which is the most important. For example, also in the event of losses of foreign investment due to civil commotion, insurrection, or riot, foreign private investment will be given the same treatment with regard to indemnification, compensation, restitution, or other settlement as investment by Bangladesh citizens. And a foreign private investment will not be expropriated or nationalized or be subject to any measures having a similar effect.
How has governmental politics helped or hurt the MNC?
It's evident that the governmental politics helped a lot in the text. This can be seen in terms of labor issue. Even though the national minimum wage was raised in 2019, the minimum wage could vary by sector. A factory worker in average could get $68 per month as a minimum wage. Moreover, Bangladesh compensation law do not require any additional bonuses. In short terms, we can say that Bangladesh is offering cheap labor in clothing manufacturing. In 2013, after modifying some labor laws and make it easier to access a labor union and also facilitate the registration, less than 10% of garment factories have unions. In fact, between 2010 and 2018, the government rejected around 46% of union registration application tracked. The government of Bangladesh is against labor unions. So indirectly, they are shunting both voices and giving more power to the MNCs. Finally, the accord of the fire and building safety may guarantee security. However, 50% of the factories still lack of adequate fire alarm and detection system, and 4% are still completing structural renovations. This is due because there is not enough supervisors and the existing ones might be corrupted. On top of that, Bangladesh government is attempting to paralyze the accord and strip independence by claiming that it should only be allowed to continue operation in Bangladesh under a set of highly obstructive constraints and that it should be separate of the government and employer control. Therefore, if the state shows low interest in ensuring a proper environment for workers, the MNC will be allowed to spend the least in safety features. Again, this will let the MNC save a lot of money.
How would you describe the country to MNC relationship?
With each year, the multinational gain more present in the country. So the relationship can be described as one of mutual dependence. On one hand, we have the company outsourced in Bangladesh and had approximately 2,088 factories and 13,000 employees registered in 2018. So it's one of the countries with more concentration of factories due to the benefits it offers. So it will be very difficult to recover the multinational Inditex economy of scale if the activity in this country will stop. And on the other hand, 18% of exports are represented by the textile industry, as we can see. So that is why it depends enormously on the industry, especially in the text that brings a lot of jobs in the country. So apart for whether the company will improve its condition and salaries in its factory, the dependency relationship seems far from ending for these two entities.
Anybody has any suggestions for improvement?
The actors involved should have identified and prevented the risk and negative impacts according with the UN principles and human rights. Also, it's important to consider that the government shouldn't be the principal actor in promoting unsustainable arrangements with workers as well as precarious working conditions. And this could be avoided by developing strategies to address these risks and review the process through which they both could have known and shown that they respect human rights.
A second suggestion I have is to deal with what workers' needs and complaints. Grievance producer should be established. The multinational had to guarantee an establish of genuine and credible complaint mechanisms in its factories. So these complaint procedures must meet the following basic criteria: acceptable rights and transparency.
Government transparency should have been an important prerequisite in order that different actors along the supply chain address labor rights violations and to improve working conditions in order that brands and retailers share important information including factory names, locations, the duration of the supply relationship, etc. Also, companies should facilitate independent verification with a strong involvement of trade unions and NGOs.
That was all for the webinar. Thank you.